John Elway announced that he is stepping down as GM. He's going to maintain his role as president of football operations. Meanwhile, also, Matt Russell will be retiring. So a little bit of a tip towards the future. Things that I think we more or less could have speculated on happening after the 2021 season. But as we were discussing earlier in the show, if you missed any, go to BroncosCountryTonight.com. This is a little bit of foreshadowing on some of the things that I think most of us could have predicted are going to happen. There's some ownership stuff at play down the road here, as we've all known for a long time, that is probably going to be happening soon. And look, I mean, this year is a massive prove-it year for Vic Fangio, massive prove-it year for Drew Lock if he does get that other opportunity. So we're obviously going to continue to monitor all that here on Broncos Country tonight. We're going to hear from John Elway here in just a little bit. But, to sort of catch you up on everything, that's kind of what's going on. As Ben has been reporting at Allbright NFL on Twitter, he believes Champ Kelly is a bit of the front runner here. He's a pro personnel guy up there with the Chicago Bears. He was here at the Broncos for about 8 years. A couple other guys in the mix, Adam Peters, who also used to be here in Denver. He's now out with the 49ers, but he's a hot commodity around many of the teams. There's 7 teams looking for a GM, so he's a name to be known. And then John Spytek is another guy. He's out there in Tampa Bay, also has connections to the Broncos.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for the Broncos that Vic Fangio is going to be the head coach, because you've got 7 general managers out there looking for jobs. That's also 7 potential head coaches out there that they would need to bring in. Well, 6, because you don't have to have that with the Broncos situation. And if you got to bring a head coach in, it's not just about bringing a head coach in. It's about bringing the staff in with them. And if you've got 7 openings, you got a bunch of people fighting over potential various staff to fill that stuff out. And a lot of times somebody's going to get left in the lurch on that. You think you got a good hire, and then all of a sudden you can't get any of your staff in because they all went somewhere else. So I think the Broncos are a bit advantageous in the sense that we're hiring a general manager, but we're not having to worry about the head coach thing. And it kind of gives them, that general manager, more lead up to that if Vic Fangio doesn't get the job done next year.
And there's an organizational direction, like what they're doing. And I got a question on this on Twitter just a moment ago, asking, is it curious that they're not doing this all at one time? New GM, new head coach, because that's what several organizations are doing. No, I don't think that's curious whatsoever, because at this point, it's an organizational direction. John Elway's not leaving the facility. He's still part of this team. He's still part of that organizational direction. So Vic Fangio is staying here for a multitude of reasons, but one of them is because they have a plan. They want to see it to fruition, to at least a point, to know whether or not for sure it's going to work.
Right, and I think that it would be disadvantageous to whatever new general manager you're trying to hit the ground running with to have him competing with several other franchises for coaches and staff right now if you were trying to clean house and blow this thing up. They feel like this team is close. It's a good defense when it's healthy. The offense was youngest in the league and showed some exciting potential at times. It's not there yet. We know it. We all saw it this year. We saw what happened. So I think you bring in competition at the quarterback position. I think you give Drew Lock one more shot to see if he's the guy. And, if it doesn't work, then you blow it up. Then that's the point after next season where you shut it down and say, look, Vic, we're going to go in a different direction here. We're going to get a new coach. We'll see what he thinks about the quarterback position, go from there. And that's what happens. So as a new general manager, you're at an advantage here. If Vic Fangio works out, Drew Lock works out, you look like the genius who sprinkled in the magic fairy dust to make it work. And if it doesn't, you're going to get to blow this team up and make it the way you want to do it and buy yourself more time as a general manager to see all that through anyway. So for whoever is coming into this gig, it's kind of a win-win the way it's structured.
And you brought up a great point earlier on that I want to echo before we get to the text line about how we don't see GMs last 10 years very often. So John Elway is a little bit of a unicorn in that. And I love that he reached out to Ozzie Newsome. I thought that was a smart move on his part, because Ozzie this last year transitioned into a different role. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where John is headed as well. So he's not going to be in on the day-to-day grind. He's going to be obviously overseeing some bigger picture things. And we'll see what happens after 2021. Again, his contract is up at that point. So that again, as we say, things have been tipping forward a little bit. We thought some of these things might come a little later on. They're just coming a little earlier, and maybe has something to do with a little bit of the record of the last few years, and maybe really it's just time. I think for a lot of these guys, it's just kind of time. The ownership stuff is obviously bears watching, no question about it. Let's get to some of the text on the text line, 56690. Which GM would support Locke coming back the most, do you think?
That's a good question. See, I would suggest if you bring in Champ Kelly, he's going to want competition. I would suggest that Champ is probably, like I said, going to bring Foles. And that would be your competition. And then if it doesn't work, you can walk away from both at the end of the year. If Adam Peters were to come in, that would probably be the worst case for Locke. That would probably be, depending on how Adam feels about this quarterback class. Mm-hmm. But that's really Adam's specialty. Whereas with Kelly, it's really not. With Spytek, I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to that one. Peters would probably be the end of the lock, though. I would honestly suggest that Zach Wilson would probably be the preferred. Just based on knowing what I know about Peters, that would probably be the preferred guy.
Okay, so Peters, who's more of a college guy there, college scouting background, of course, he'd be more interested potentially at a reset there with a young quarterback that would be his guy.
Right.
Whereas you're talking about more of a pro scout there in Kelly, he might opt to run it back for a year and see how things go and get a little bit of a lay of the land more so.
They tend to do that, too. Plus, he's got the relationship. Foles is there with the Bears right now. He's with all that kind of stuff. Foles has a previous relationship with Pat Shurmur, dating back to their time in Philadelphia. So Foles just makes the most sense out of all that for that scenario.